So in the last video, I believe I left off regarding some of the differences in these two cards. And well, I mean, they are the same card, but they are actually they represent the same exact thing, but they represent the same exact thing from two different perspectives, right? So the Magician card, these are the same things effectively. For the most part, these cards are the same. However, at least in symbolism, but in intent, they are not. So the Magician card is the outward manifestation of what one can do when they bring into balance the Chariot, right? When the Chariot is active, it is the engine, effectively. When the Chariot is active, right? It is the engine, the internal mechanism of what allows then for the magician to do magical work, right? To cast, right? The Magician card is to cast effectively. That's the end result. So if this is the internal mechanism, if the Chariot is the internal mechanism of the processes in the mind and in the body, in the metaphysical mind, the metaphysical body that take place, then the Magician card is the end result of what's taking place. So if this is what is driving your intention, effectively, then the Magician card is the actual act itself. So I guess the correct way to put that is, this is the engine, this is the symbolic engine, and this, and the Magician card, is the outward manifestation of what the engine is effectively being utilized to do. So this is cause, Chariot is cause, in so much, in boiling it down to, its smallest point. This is cause, and the Magician card is effect, outwardly. So this is the outward manifestation, this is the internal process of what takes place before the outward manifestation. So if this is what's going on inside of a person before they're casting, and I'm not saying necessarily spell casting, I'm saying before bringing the internal will into action, which is the Magician card, then the Magician card is the outward appearance, effectively. Or if you were observing somebody going through this process, this is what their external appearance would be symbolized as metaphysically. But internally, this is the process and what they were just going through before the intent of will was cast externally. And so if the infinity symbol above the Magician head is knowledge, is to know, knowledge, wisdom, to know, that which is within is that which is without, then he's also symbolizing that which is above is like that which is below. They're the same thing. Externally, that's the symbolism there. And he's, you can see that he's pointing to the ground, he's pointing to the sky, and he's also got his wand. I'm speaking of the Magician card. He's also got his wand, doing the same thing, effectively. And so with the infinity symbol, what's the occult mockery? Well, it's a figure eight. So effectively, what's being mocked at least in regards to the manifestation of utilizing the infinity symbol for a racetrack. Well, you buy your chariot for money, basically, which is your vehicle. You buy your chariot, which is your car, just in day-to-day life. That's your car. Correct? And so the occult mockery then is to drive your materialistic chariot instead of your, the chariot of the soul. The occult mockery is to drive your car around the track of infinitely, or until you run out of gas, until you run out of energy, right? And the occult mockery there is twofold. It's exactly what I just said, in that they're putting occult wisdom in front of you and actually turned it into a sport, or turned it into something that a sport attached itself to, racing. But it also symbolizes the brazen use and abuse of physical source of energy, which is oil, which is, I understand. I like racing cars. I do. It's fun. It is. I have a lot of fun with it. But the symbolism there is, here is what the eyes shall see versus what the eyes shall know. That's the symbolism. We'll show you what we want you to see, but we won't show you what we want you to know. That's why the figure 8 is something that is attached to any sport. It is intentional, and it also represents the absolute lack of care that they want people to have in regards to energy expenditure that destroys the planet Earth. That's for their own profit. That's for their own gain, both in the use of that source of energy, the abuse of that source of energy, because I enjoy racing cars, man. I do. It's fun. But at the same time, it's precious energy that is at this time incredibly precious, and in a lot of and it's, in each year that passes, it gets even more precious because the sheer amount is finite. But it's also something that abuses the Earth itself and abuses the health of the planet itself. And so they're showing you what they want you to see about the symbolic nature of sacred wisdom, but they're not teaching you what they don't want you to know, and they're not showing you what they don't want you to know. And in fact, they're showing you what they want you to value over wisdom that everybody should have. Guarded wisdom that everybody should have, or at least have access to begin their own development, or to sustain their own development. Metaphysically speaking, the development, the unfoldment of the soul, the unfoldment, the lightening of the soul, of the heart, the mind, soul. So that's what I have to teach about that. And there is also the strength card. And the strength card has the same symbol, and I'll tell you where the symbol itself actually comes from before I'm done here. The strength card here, let's see if this is easily done here. Okay. So the strength card also has the same symbol. Also has the flowering of the magician card, but in this regard, it's a woman who's actually wearing the flowering instead of the flowering, adorning the scene of the magician. And this is necessarily just, it's what it symbolizes is the appreciation, the appreciation and the knowledge of what naturalistic beauty actually provides to a person in their day-to-day life, with true appreciation of it. And the Strength card also represents the sacred feminine. The Magician card, the sacred masculine. The Strength card represents the sacred feminine. And it represents the key to the biblical verse, which I use as I use as a biography quote in my Steam profile. And I'll pull that up real quick so that I can read it properly. And that is, "Be sober of spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour." That is actually a biblical quote. And the biblical, the Bible is an occult text. And the true meaning of that quote, metaphysically speaking, alchemically speaking, but metaphysically speaking, is part of it's sacred. It's coded sacred wisdom, and it lies right here in the Strength card. So, what is the lion in the Strength card, and why is the sacred feminine taming it, soothing it? Well, that's a lion, correct? That's a sacred feminine, taming and soothing a lion, right? With strength, with infinite wisdom, the same infinite wisdom that the sacred masculine shares, right? The unison of the two, right? The unison of the two, the figure 8, represents the unison in very simplistic, elegant, and beautiful symbolism of the sacred masculine and its unchanging and unbreakable link with the sacred feminine. That's what the two ellipses represent. The marriage of the two. And the sacred feminine is taming the roaring lion, which is the devil. And the devil is actually something that all people contend with in themselves. And the devil is what? The devil is rampant, unchecked ego, looking for someone to devour. That's what that biblical quote actually means. So it's effectively coded messaging about the correct way in walking a path of balance by balancing the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine in unison through knowledge of the infinite, right? Knowledge of the unchangeable, the infinite, the unbreakable, right? The unison, the balance of the sacred masculine, the sacred feminine. It is up to the sacred feminine energy, polarity, to tame the roaring lion so that one does not walk the path of the devil or the roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Be of sober spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Effectively saying that every person's true adversary is the devil ego. The devil ego. And that's what the devil card represents. The deviled ego, the unchecked ego.